Warning, this video contains strong language that may be offensive to some viewers. Please be advised. Otherwise, please enjoy. The cleaning team has finally arrived in the boss's room, only to find that the foxtrot centipede is still alive. Junwoo is very concerned because without his skills, he has no chance of defeating the monster. Suddenly, it drops to the ground. It is actually dead. Junwoo surmises that it was undergoing rigor mortis. He is thinking about how the strategy and operation team is slacking off on their job. Hee-jong asks Junwoo if this is the first time he is seeing a boss monster. He whips out his knife and tells him to step back. Junwoo is stunned. He responds, "Excuse me?" Hee-jong tells him that he just froze there. He tells him to step back because he will take care of it. Junwoo is aggravated and wonders, is he shitting me right now, not to mention how Hee-jong said he was startled just moments ago. Junwoo says it is ridiculous and tells him to give him his knife and then snatches it out of his hand. They see Junwoo walking up to the foxtrot centipede, and they ask him what he thinks he is doing. Junwoo tells them that they said that they were going to dismantle it, and he tells them to watch and learn if they don't want to get hurt. He tells them that the knife only fits inside the 3rd, 6th, and 12th segments of the outer shell, and that it won't go in anywhere else, so they don't need to even bother trying. As Junwoo cuts into the centipede, he tells the team that the nerves appear to still be alive and that they should ignore the wiggling while they are taking the body apart. Guntae and the others are speechless as they watch Junwoo chop away. Junwoo asks them if they are just going to stand and watch. They come to their senses, and they join Junwoo. As the team works to dismantle the monster carcass, Junwoo is yelling at them non-stop. "You've got to shove it in first and push it up, you can't stab it aimlessly like that, don't touch the tail, many hunters have died from that poison." They begin to wonder what they have gotten themselves into. Junwoo remembers one other thing about the foxtrot centipede. He tells the others to make sure that they don't step on the blood. It isn't poisonous, but it is extremely sticky. Once you step on it, there is no way to get out of it. Sang-hyuk and Guntae have been observing Junwoo. They are a little weirded out by his behavior. Sang-hyuk asks Guntae if he showed Junwoo the control team's file, and if he did it to boost his confidence. Guntae says he didn't. Sang-hyuk doesn't believe him and tells him to be serious because there is no way a rookie cleaner could be this proficient and so knowledgeable. Guntae swears to him and says that the file did not contain any of the information that Junwoo shared with them. Sang-hyuk is shocked. Then where could he have gotten the information? Junwoo continues to chop away as he focuses on the task at hand. Suddenly, the system notifies him that his OCD skill is being activated. Not too long after, the team finished dismantling the foxtrot centipede. The monster has been stripped down to the bones, and all the carcass has been packed in bags. Junwoo is feeling proud of his accomplishment. He smiles and suddenly freaks out. He wonders why he is feeling satisfied. Guntae is wowed and tells Junwoo that he is impressed, and he asks him if he is sure that this is his first time. Sang-hyuk tells Junwoo that he admits that he is not bad for a rookie. Soyeon questions Sang-hyuk's level of praise and says that Junwoo literally did all the work. Guntae says they've got a real promising cleaner here, and tells Sang-hyuk that he is going to need to step it up. Sang-hyuk shouts back and asks him to stop it with the jokes. Junwoo is looking at them and thinking that it really is not a big deal, it's just cleaning. Sang-hyuk looks at his watch and says that they need to get going because they only have 5 minutes left. Guntae says that is more than enough time and commends everyone for doing a good job. The cleaning team packs up, and they leave the boss's room. As they make their way towards the exit, Guntae tells Junwoo that everything worked out better than he expected, and it is all thanks to him. Junwoo suddenly stops walking. He looks down and sees that he has stepped on blood from the foxtrot centipede. He wonders if it leaked from one of the sacks someone is carrying. Sang-hyuk teases Junwoo because the one person who stepped in the blood was him. Soyeon is worried and tells the boss that Junwoo can't even budge. Junwoo sighs and tells them to stop making a fuss because he is fine. He tells them to give him some space. He is thinking about how this blood isn't just sticky, and about how he even had trouble getting it off himself when he was a hunter. He is thinking that with this skill, the blood will melt easily with extreme heat. He extends his hand and begins to activate his skill, Hellfire. And then, nothing happens. Everyone around him stands in silence, not knowing what they're watching. The system notifies Junoo that the skill failed because it is currently locked. Junoo says, "Oh. Right. Well, I'm fucked." The team begins to panic. Guntae asks Heejang if he had brought the ropes and tells him to hurry and tie Junoo up, and for everyone else to grab onto the rope. Heejang ties the rope around Junoo's waist, and they begin pulling. They try and keep pulling, but Junoo is unable to budge. Guntae asks how much time they have left. They have 1 minute, no, 55 seconds remaining. On the count of 3, they pull again. Junoo doesn't understand what is going on. Guntae tells Junoo to hurry and take off his hazmat suit. Soyeon tells him to wait, that the gas levels are too high, and that it is too dangerous. Guntae cuts her off and asks if they would rather have all of them be trapped in here. Junoo doesn't understand what he is talking about. He is the one who is stuck, so why are they willing to stay? A lizard's survival instinct is to cut off its tail. He is confused about why they are not giving up on him. He is the tail in this dire situation, which they are in. Guntae yells at Junoo, he tells him to take off his hazmat suit, and he calls him a fool and says to listen to him. Junoo is thinking that they are morons who are more foolish than lizards, and he begins to take off his suit. Guntae turns his attention to the others and tells them to all leave. Sang-hyuk questions him, he asks what his plan is. Guntae tells him that those who still have a chance, must live. Sang-hyuk tells him, absolutely not, he would rather stay behind. Guntae immediately shuts him down, and shouts for them to get out now, and he tells them that it is an order. Sang-hyuk remains silent, he realizes that the situation isn't up for debate, and that the least he can do is to obey his boss. As he turns around, he tells Guntae he has 10 seconds remaining. As Sang-hyuk, Heejang, and Soyeon leave, Guntae quickly runs to Junoo and helps him get out of his uniform. Guntae begins to undress, he gives his own hazmat uniform to Junoo. Junoo puts it on, and they begin running. The rest of the team are outside the dungeon, and there are only a few seconds left. They watch the portal and wait anxiously, for what seems like an eternity, as Guntae and Junoo race against the clock to reach the exit. It is just within reach. The portal begins to close, as Sang-hyuk, Heejang, and Soyeon watch helplessly. They rush towards the entrance. Guntae and Junoo are on the ground, trying to catch their breath. They miraculously made it out in time, with less than a second to spare. They all gather around Guntae, they are overjoyed to see their boss. Junoo is lying on the ground and is trying to cope with what he just went through. He is struck with the realization that he had almost died, and the fact that it was from cleaning up monster carcasses in an empty dungeon. Guntae asks Junoo if he is alright. Junoo replies to him, yes. Guntae tells him he is glad that the gas levels weren't as high as he had thought. He then apologizes to him for what happened at the first cleanup job today, and says that at least he can chalk it up to experience. Junoo doesn't think his comment is funny. Chalk it up my ass. Or more rather, almost chalk it up. He suddenly becomes terrified when he realizes something that Guntae mentioned. He asks him about what he means by the first cleanup job today. Guntae tells him that they are just getting started. Junoo asks, and how many more are there? With a big grin, Guntae stretches out his hand and shows him 5 fingers. Junoo is completely flabbergasted. Junoo just died a little on the inside. The Korean Association of Supernatural Ability Management has 96 strategy and operation teams stationed across the country. There are 8 teams just in Seoul alone. Including freelance hunters who are not affiliated with the association, there are about 11,300 hunters registered in the country. As for the dungeon cleaning team, there are 5 cleaning teams with a total of 25 cleaners, and they service the entire country. Each team cleans an average of 3.3 dungeons a day. On bad days, a team can be assigned to clean as many as 5 dungeons. Junu's soul has left his body, because today just happened to be one of those days. Gunte proposes to the team that they have a round of drinks to finish off the day. The employees ask him if he is not trying to buy the drinks again tonight. Gunte tells them that is what team leaders are for. They tell him he has been spending too much money on them. They should split the bill tonight. Their boss tells them that he can handle it and asks them to let him buy a round tonight. Gunte asks Junu if he is going to join them, and he tells him that he deserves a drink and that he can make the call for tonight's menu. The others are eager to leave, and they tell Junu to hurry on up. Junu tells them that he is not going. Their jaws drop in disappointment. Junu thinks there is no need for him to get all chummy with these guys, and then he realizes that having drinks with them is one thing, and that free food is another. He speaks up and says that he will take some steak, but he doesn't finish. Gunte didn't catch what Junu was trying to tell him. He tells him not to worry, and that he's not one to pressure people to drink. Junu tells Gunte that he meant to say is, but he becomes too shy to finish. He says never mind and tells them that he is heading out. Gunte tells Junu that he did good work today. As they begin to leave, Soyeon tells him, see you tomorrow, and Sun Hyuk tells him to have a good night. Junu is feeling a sense of camaraderie from his teammates. He is not really sure what to think. Junu is back at his apartment. He is laying on his bed, trying to figure out who killed him in his past life. He no longer suspects Gunte. He believes Gunte is too soft and that he isn't the type to hold a grudge and hire an assassin. He wonders, if it isn't Gunte, then who it could possibly be. There are only a few other people who might have resented him. He begins to think of the possible suspects. There is Guanmo Yang, a newbie on his team that he regularly bullied. It could be Eugene Min, his ex, or maybe Dong Hee Wong from the control team, who he roughed up. Junu curses when he realizes that the list just goes on. He grunts, thinking that there is no point. Whoever killed him in his previous life is probably someone he doesn't even know in this current timeline. He is thinking that, if he wants to take his revenge properly, he needs to deactivate the goddamn karma skill and return to his original life. However, in order to do that, he needs to become the Secretary General of the International Superpower Association. If only he had his skills, he could be a hunter in no time. Or, he could even join the control team. And then, Junu suddenly realizes something. He calls out the system to open his status window, and sees something that he didn't think to check that morning. There are requirements for unlocking his hunter skills. He laughs, thinking that the joke is on them. There is no need for him to resort to being a cleaner. And then, he begins reading the requirements. Average salary of dungeon cleaners must exceed $45,931. Job competition ratio of dungeon cleaners must exceed 30-1, the cleaning team. He shouts in anger, "You've got to be kidding me." Every single condition has something to do with the cleaning team. He crushes a plastic bottle and begins throwing things across the room, while mocking karma. He asks, "You want me to become a fully committed cleaner, don't you?" Junu cools off and tells himself to take it easy. He is looking at the mess he made, and suddenly, his OCD skill becomes activated. Junu soon finds himself cleaning his entire apartment while complaining along the way. "Why is the room so messy? Did I not get any cleaning done in my previous life? Yuck, how long has this been rotting here? God damn it, give me a break, for God's sake." Sometime later, Junu is notified that the requirement to unlock his skill has been met. The requirement was, to show up at work. Hyper Boost has been unlocked.